Over 400 career appearances, 15 goals, 10 GCSEs and 3 A-levels. This is Nedum Onuoha's Teammates Gold.
Overall, probably has to be Yaya Toure. I think, like, when he's in full flight, there's nothing you can do about it, so yeah, I think I'd say him.
How'd you stop him?
Just go for his ankles, basically, that's it. But he's one of those people. I think the City, at the time, were very, very appreciative of the fact that they had a match winner on the field throughout his entirety there, so it's tough. You just got to hope that he's having an off day.
And what was it like training with him?
He's tough again. He was one of the first few people to actually just throw me to the floor as well, because I'm known for being quite strong, but there were a couple of times where he leant into me and I thought, right, I'm going to have to keep my distance from this guy.
What do you do when Yaya Toure is leaning on you and puts you on the floor? Like, you just go, oh,
just
sorry.
No. This thing is competitive, so you find a way. You might have to chop his ankles and stuff, but you just try and style out and make sure nobody realises you've just been humiliated, basically. It was Vincent Kompany, because he was one of those where he's relentless. Like, you could be friends with him and so on, but if he wants to kick you for the day, he's going to kick you for the day. And if you were playing against him, it was never a fun experience.
Did he ever choose to kick you for the day?
No, I was never anywhere near him, to be honest. But he had this sort of like mean streak in him, where he could be a really nice, well-spoken guy and so on. But as soon as he crossed that line and he went onto the field, it was a different guy altogether. It wouldn't be a player, but it'd be a manager in Roberto Mancini. So with him, when he came into the old training ground for Man City, he had to install like hair dryers and things like this. He was very, very particular about the way that he looked, to the point where literally the training ground had to be changed to accommodate that for him. So I'd definitely say him.
What did the players make of that?
To be honest, the players at the club at that point didn't really know him, so it was a bit weird. But looking back, given the amount of power and stuff that he had, you don't really say much, because if you do, you usually get quite significant pushback.
He's got a great barnet though. A lot of hair.
Subjective. He's got a lot of hair. We'll say. Listen, he's got.
Not bad.
Yeah, he's got a lot of hair, and it was usually maintained very well. And did like to flick it around and so on. And he obviously was very proud of his appearance. But as for other people and how they interpret that, it's completely up to them.
What was he like to play for?
To be honest, he didn't really play me much. So I've got to say, it was a bit of a nightmare. But no, he was somebody who, from when he came in, he had a very clear message and idea of what he wanted to give to the players.
Yeah.
And he did it. Like, we did team shape more than I've ever done team shape at any other point in my career. And the team ultimately ended up playing exactly how he wanted, but it wasn't necessarily in a way whereby you'd grow to like him, but it was a way in which you'd grow to respect what he wanted to do. Ben Thatcher in the 2000s was somebody who can't exist in this day and age, let's just say that.
What would he do? Clean version?
Clean version. Is it clean? He always had his jokes and so on. They were part of like the cutting up clothes stuff, but there were certain things that would get left in boot boxes that would be hidden somewhere in the training ground, and the certain things tend to give off quite a strong smell and stuff. So he was one of those. He was one of them. Yeah.
Who did he get?
To be fair, looking back, who didn't he get? Like,
did he get you?
He got everyone. He was getting everyone on a day-to-day basis. And to be fair, at that time, the dressing rooms were a little bit older, and these are people born in the 70s and so on, and people born in the 60s, and all raised by coaches born in the 60s and 50s. So the mentalities were a little bit different. I'm glad some of it doesn't happen now, but I'm happy that I made it through that time. Interesting. That's a good one. So a lot of people like Delta Rat to be part of the conversation. Yeah. Because he was very, very skillful. He wouldn't necessarily do it every single day, but he had the potential, like, through the roof. But in terms of young players and stuff who are playing now, Barry Eze. So when I was with him at QPR, he had something special from a very, very young age. And we used to play young v old, and he was like the heartbeat of their team. And I think at the time, he was like 18, 19. So as long as he was out there on the field, they always had a chance. And he was, he was very, very good.
So you're not surprised at all that he's ripping up the Premier League?
Not one bit at all. Like the goal that he scored against, I think it was Sheffield United not too long ago. We went basically
amazing, that whole pitch.
That was basically him on a Friday whenever we did the young v old. And don't get me wrong, like I've played with people at City who are clearly very, very skillful and probably have gone past the level of potential and are just like super elite players. But I have to give it Barry credit because he was special.
Did you have to chop his ankles in training?
He's a hard guy to try and chop,
Can't get near him.
He's just like Matt Smith used to call it, he just called him snake hips. With people like that, you can try and chop them down, but by the time you go into doing it, they're somewhere else. The guy with the most nutmegs that I've seen is probably a Delta Rapt.
Yeah.
But he never got me.
He never got you?
No, I'm not really somebody that gets nutmeg very often. So I'm gonna, not that it's a big deal, but I think there are probably 5 people who can say in training and nutmeg me my entire career.
Who are they?
I can't tell you that. Yeah, I can't go into that. But they did it, and it felt weird. But yeah, I think I've been all right with that.
You said Adele Taarabt is really good at nutmegs. I've seen a clip of Ian Holloway pulling out a nutmeg.
Yes.
Who did he get?
Yes, that was on Jamie Mackey. I remember I used to get sent the videos of the training sessions after if anything funny had happened. And I was looking through my phone recently and I came across that one. It was a classic because there's Jamie Mackey, you know, like going all out. I'm going to go and get him. And then Ian just rolled it through. That was top. But then you can see Ian Holloway's got skill. He just put one in the top bins last week, didn't he?
Smashed one in the top bin in the JAR.
Exactly.
I love Jamie Mackey's reaction because he just doesn't stop walking. He just keeps going. He knows.
There's certain things that can't happen to you on that football field, and getting nutmegged by your coach is definitely one of them. I picked 3 people, Ishmael Miller, Micah Richards, Daniel Sturridge. And I picked the 3 because I've seen them as individuals and I've seen them all come together. And when the 3 of them come together, say when we were younger and whatever, and they would be dancing around, like, they're good. They're the type of people where they dance so well, you just sit down because you don't want to embarrass yourself.
So if they had a voice, they'd be a really good little 3-piece.
All 3 of them are in far different places in their life right now, but when they were younger, like, they were all the entertainment you needed whenever you went out.
Could you throw any shapes?
0 shapes.
0 shapes.
I'm more just the aggressive guy sitting in the corner just looking at everyone.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm just kidding. Obviously, I'm not aggressive, but I'm not a dancer. I enjoy myself.
Why do you get aggressive?
Yeah,
I'm just like, I wish I could do that.
I wish I could do that, but I'm also glad that I can't do that. So as a consequence, I can sit back and enjoy and be like, yeah, you see my friends over there? Yeah.
I'm with them.
Yeah, exactly. They're cool. We're all together. Yeah, that's how it is.
If you could do those moves, would you be pulling them out if you scored a goal?
1,000%. But unfortunately, the 15 goals I scored isn't enough. I should have scored a lot more. That's the downside. I had so many celebrations lined up in mind for so many years.
Did you?
And then,
Do you know you get to do one of them?
No, not really. Oh, in fact, the only one that I can remember, which wasn't really a dance, was I think we went to Copenhagen in the UEFA Cup for Man City. And one of the stands was being built, so they had like a painted over thing with fans there. And I said the day before, if I score here, I'm going to go and celebrate in front of them. Lo and behold, I scored. So I'm standing there in front of just the painted on fans like this. I got a bit of stick for it, but that was the only one where I sort of planned something and it worked out. Do you know what? I'm going to say myself.
You can say yourself.
I was number 1, yeah.
Number one?
Yeah.
What does DJ Onuoha put on before a game?
You see, that's the thing. That's just, everyone listens to their own thing, but I'm aware that you're in a room full of people who don't listen to the same things. So instead of going for like one track that could be from this genre, one track that could be from that genre or whatever, you just find stuff which doesn't offend people, but for some people gets them really hyped and excited, because the moment you offend one person, you get ridiculed forever.
Yeah.
But I never fit into that. So it's always just reading the teammates, and there's there'll be a bit of, say, dancing there, some house, and like if it's an older dressing room, some UK garage type stuff. You know, that always gets people going. Yeah, I think that was basically my bag from back then.
So before a game in the dressing room, are you just watching around and making sure that everyone's sort of loving your music? You're going like, oh, actually.
To be honest, no, because if people don't love it, they'll let you know very, very quickly. Like, they'll come and find you. You don't need to find. Yeah, you don't need to find them. They'll come and find you. Oh, really? But it was always, you know, I enjoyed doing that because I enjoy seeing people's reactions. Yeah. And overall, like, people did enjoy the music, so I was more than happy to do it. Daniel Sturridge is a good singer. Yeah. Anton Ferdinand's a good singer. They weren't brilliant in the initiations, but I just know the good singers because I've actually heard them sing. Because as far as initiation goes, if you take it too seriously...
Like, you get battered?
Yeah, you get absolutely... I mean, you're just caught in this funny place where they kind of want you to be terrible, but you have to try, and then if you're terrible, that's great.
That's fine.
But if you don't try and you're terrible, you're like the worst person in the world. But then also, if you really try like it's the X Factor, then before you know it, you're sitting...
You've either got to be really good or really bad. There's no real in between.
Yeah, you got to just try and find that sweet spot. Yeah, it's a tough thing to do.
So where do you put yourself in that?
So what I did, I just went for entertainment. I was just throwing out a few jokes and a few shapes and things like that. Appreciating the fact that I'm not a good singer, but that people like a bit of choreography with their singing, let's say.
So what did you do?
The last one I did was Under the Bridge by Red Hot Chili Peppers when I was in the USA. So you wait for a drop and you deliver this and swinging about in a chair and things like this.
They love all that, don't
they? Oh, they were lapping it up. That's when I knew I'd made it in America. Because I know he'll be watching, he'll bite off this. I'll say like Mide Shadipo for QPR. I think he's on a lot of Oxford at the minute because he's just sloppy. It's just such a sloppy.
Bit lazy.
Yeah, because I get that you're going into work and you're only going to see these people, but come on, but just respect yourself.
What was he wearing?
It's the type of guy who'd have a tracksuit that doesn't fit, which he has as loungewear or whatever.
Yeah.
But he won't wear the two pieces. He'll wear one bit, it might have food on it, and he's wearing another bit, you know what I mean, which is dirty as well. The two colours don't match up and all this stuff. And I can get you comfortable, but come on, you're an actual adult in the real world. Like, do better. The quickest I played with, except for someone like myself, I'd say Micah Richards was very fast back in the day. Kieran Richardson as well, I played with him at Sunderland. So I'd say Micah and Kieran Richardson, they were probably two of the quickest players I've had on the team.
You said yourself, now I know for a fact that you're rapid.
Well, I'm a bit older now, but yeah.
Well, maybe not so much now, but
yeah.
Back in the day, 10.9, English schools, juniors.
I used to do all that. I used to do just as much athletics as I did football, whilst I was doing school as well. And to be honest, the athletics only stopped because I didn't have time for it anymore. It wasn't a case of I said I wanted to go down this path. But yeah, I was some of the people who I used to race against, like a Craig Pickering, people like Wade Bennett-Jackson and so on. They went on to represent Great Britain, compete at World Championships and all that. So it's funny seeing them live that life, but then also I'm sure they're looking at me like, well, I think I'd rather have gone down that.
Gone down the footballing route.
Yeah.
How quick could you have been if you trained every day?
I'd probably say similar to what they were. So they're running like 10.2s, 10.1s, something like that. But
that's rapid.
But who knows? I'm just glad that like I was able to kick a ball around for a living instead of just solely run 100 meters at a time. Yeah. I think I'd say Vincent Kompany because I think he was always planning ahead, and he's somebody who always wanted to learn more. So being around him, you always felt like you had to just grow as a person because he was doing the same, and he was a great role model for everyone.
Talking about planning ahead, I read that you used to do your A-level homework on the bus to games.
Right, yeah. That's right, yeah. That's just, it was one of those things where, from when I was 10 until I made my debut at 17 and finished my A-levels like 18, 19, I was always told that if I was doing well in school, I would be allowed to play football.
Right.
It wasn't the case of if I scored 5 goals on a weekend, I would be allowed to play the next game. So the education was always going to be the plan. And even though I wanted to be a footballer, it wasn't something in my mind where it says I have to be a footballer. So I did my GCSEs, I got 8 A's, 2 B's, then I went on to A-levels because that was the natural flow of somebody who has school as a foundation and football as an extra. But it just so happened as I was doing my A-levels, football wasn't the extra. Football was like my actual source of income and me having a job.
Yeah.
But the A-levels still persisted, and I wasn't going to just drop out of them halfway through because I was playing now. So I finished them, and I did better at my A-levels than I did my GCSEs, even though I had less time because I was actually a full-time player.
What was that like on the bus though? You doing your homework, and I imagine everyone else is out the back playing cards or whatever.
Early 2000s banter and all that stuff was not suited to somebody doing A-levels anywhere on that bus.
And you got your best results.
Yeah, literally I got my best results, but it was tough. But for me, like it's not like I've used the qualifications to this point, but it definitely felt like it was worth it because it instilled something in my mind about working hard to try and achieve something. And it meant every time I stepped on the field, whether it was training or playing in games, it felt like I deserved it and I'd earned the right to be there, as opposed to having an expectation of this is what I do and this can never be taken away. Alex Smithies, I'd say. So he's not like deeply superstitious, but things have to be on a set routine. 1 hour 10 before the game, he must be doing this. 1 hour 5, he must be doing that. 1 hour, he must be doing this. And then there was one game where we were running late to the game, and we were on a bus heading over, and I could see him panicking, and I could see like he was fully unraveling because like he couldn't do his schedule anymore because he was supposed to be at the stadium. But again, like I don't know whether that's still the case now because I've not played for a long time, but all those superstitions clearly work because he was one of the best I've ever played with.
Yeah. Would anyone try and put him off his time?
Nah, listen, when you see people in the flow, like, and it's before a game, best thing to do is just leave them to it. Even if they're licking walls in the corner or whatever, you just say, that's fine. It's not for me, but I'm sure it serves a purpose.
Nedum, that's brilliant. Thanks for your time, mate. That was Teammates Gold with Nedum Onuoha.